What's up? How y'all doing? It's Lugamonger. It's Benchmade 484 Nakamura. Fine edge. Beautiful steel. It's got a blade length of 3.08 inches. Blade thickness is 0.114 inches. Overall length is 7.03. The closed length is 3.95 inches. The weight on this is 3.52 ounces. The handle thickness is 0.75 inches. It's got an MSRP of $225. Bowler M390 steel. It's considered a super steel. Some people might argue that. Now, this knife, I've had this for a really long time. I've been kind of putting off doing a review on it, and the reason is because I just can't really figure it out. And honestly, I think that I have. What this is a high-end carry, to steal a term from Nut and Fancy, second kind of cool. This knife is all about the second kind of cool. An M390 is an excellent steel. It's going to hold an edge for an extremely long time. It's got 20% chromium. It's very extremely stain resistant. It can take a very fine edge. It's got a great, very microscopic, very small carbide structure. The way that they've set this knife up is very ergonomic, actually. Even for my larger hands, this knife still fits decently well. I do have to cram my fingers a little bit in there. It would probably suit a smaller hand better, but it does fit. It does still work. The jimping on it is fantastic. It's very reminiscent of what you'd see on a Spyderco. That squared off jimping on the ramp. It's got a little bit of curvature to the actual ramp. It works fantastic. The jimping on this is excellent. But the reason I say majority second kind of cool is because you're it's attempting to be a gentleman's folder, right? And in that, that's my opinion, obviously, but in that, it's not, right? It's not. It's too big, it's too heavy, it's too wide. Some people might consider this a tactical-looking knife. Something that looks tactical, obviously, isn't due to the fact that it has a 3-inch blade length, but at that, it doesn't look very tactical to me. It looks too stylish. It's got a lot of silver accents. The pocket clip itself is bright and polished. It's got a custom pivot. The G10 has obviously been textured. You know, they've riveted it out in such a way that it gives an excellent pattern to it. So this knife is designed for the aesthetic. It's designed for someone who thinks that it looks good, who wants to have pride of ownership in a knife, who wants to fondle it. It's a fondling blade, and it's extraordinarily smooth. This is one of the smoothest Benchmades that I own. It just takes absolutely no effort. You just press the lock, and I mean, that blade falls out of there. The color of the blade as well. I think it's probably just due to the high vanadium content in it, because vanadium is actually, in its raw form, is kind of a darker mineral. It's more of a goldish color than the silver or the actual steel. But if you compare the steel itself to something like the 154 CM, I don't know if it's going to come across as well on camera, but it's actually got a darker hue to it. I don't know how much of that is the finish that they've actually put on the blade, but the steel it's a different color than all the other steels. With the M390, I don't actually have a whole lot of experience. This is the only knife I have in this specific type of steel, and I haven't put a whole lot of work to it just because I kind of like this knife. It's on a little plaque on my wall. I'll actually show you that at the end of this video, but I like it. Right? I really like looking at it. I like fondling it. I like playing with it. I don't like carrying it. I don't like using it. It's just not, it's too small. It doesn't fit my hand right. It is expensive. I think it was about $190 out the door for this one. So, I mean, it is an expensive blade. I don't want to ding it up. I don't want to scratch it. So, yeah. Realistically, even for me, this is just a fondling knife. It's just something that I have because I like it. But with that M390 steel, I wrote down some specifications here, just comparing a little bit between the 154 cm of the Benchmade Griptilian. This is the 551 model, and this the M390 on the 484 Nakamura here. The 484 Nakamura has the M390, M390 Bowler M390 steel has a carbon content of 1.9%, which is relatively high. The 154 cm has a 1.05 carbon content. The Bowler M390 has a 20% chromium. Okay, this is all from Benchmade specs. I got this out of their catalog, but 20% chromium rating opposed to a 14% in the 154 cm. They're 4% vanadium. Okay, 4% vanadium is actually equivalent to S30V. S30V also as well has a 4% vanadium content as well. Your secondary alloying elements are all different, obviously, different type of steel, but this actually does not have any vanadium in it, the 154 cm. However, the molybdenum on the M390 is only rated at 1%, while being at 4% on the 154 cm. And the M390 is a 60 to 62 on the Rockwell scale, 58 to 61 for the 154 cm. So you can just see the differences there. I mean, it has a massive amount of corrosion capability as well as edge retention just in the chemicals put into it. And it's coming from a company like Benchmade. You know they did the heat treat process. You know they've bought their steel from a quality manufacturer. So I would put this knife through the test if I had to. I do have full confidence in the fact that this blade is going to be able to take a massive amount of abuse, but it's not going to be me that's ever going to do that to it. Yeah. Some people may like that opinion, maybe not. This is what I carry. Y'all have a good one.